Welcome to Inside Abode, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing? Dave Jones, you already know. I mean, you've listened to the Inside Abode podcast before, so now you're listening to it again. And want to say welcome. Welcome to the Black History Month Reflection Series. We are live. I'm trying live on Instagram. I don't even know if it's working, but if it is, cool. I hope you're watching it on Instagram. But if you're watching it on YouTube, that's dope too. Thank you for tapping in. So this is the second actually Black History Month reflection series. I just got done doing one with Tanisha Jumper, a Tacoma resident and Tacoma person in general, and all of the region actually, not just Tacoma. I want to limit her on HBCUs. Super dope. And I've done this Black History Month reflection series ever since we opened. So it's since the first year that we opened up, had my first group of Black History Month reflection series dropped 5 in 5 days. And this is the first time, this year is the first time that I've had a returning Black History Month reflection series guest. So I'm really excited about today because yeah, it's going to be super dope. So first thing, this person moved to the Pacific Northwest 15 years ago. He's been creating for the last 12 years. He's been commissioned he's commissioned art for Amazon. He's commissioned art for Meta, the city Seattle. He's in Mopop, Google. He's part of the story of Windermere Abode also, if I'm being real. And he's been featured in hella publications such as the Architectural Digest twice and every other regional publication that you can think of. He's been in that. And actually in the last few years, he added even more to his bag. He added a video to his bag. So that's super dope too. So anyway, I want to just give a quick intro to our guest today. Second time on the Black History Month Reflection Series, Barry Johnson. How you doing, man?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you so much for that intro. It's crazy. I appreciate that. And yeah, man, good to see you again.
Yeah, good seeing you too, brother. So yeah, tell me how you doing, man. Like, this is the first time. The last time we did this was like 2018. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was 7 years ago, bro.
Yeah. Getting great. That's it.
A lot's happened since then, man. Like
A
back
lot.
then you had locks, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It was just a whole
exactly.
different time.
Right. And the world has changed, but everything is good, man. Just, in short, just stuck to the practice. That's it. You know what I mean? I'm incredibly fortunate to be able to be producing work in this amazing state. That's all I've been doing, man, just around the clock outside of just like, staying true to the family, raising baby girl. But
Yeah.
outside of that, man, it's just been just work, man. Any opportunity I got to be able to put some work out in the street, be able to tell the story of the collective us, be able to press back against all the wild things that's happening in our nation and just being able to make a statement. That's what I've been doing, man.
Yeah, we'll definitely touch on that. I'm checking out the Instagram live right now and it looks kind of crazy. Like it's kind of weird because it's like in the middle. So I'm gonna probably end the live on
Yeah.
Instagram. Sorry, folks. I just don't like. Well, maybe I'll just let it go. Y'all can watch. Y'all let it go. I don't like that. I don't like how it's like that.
Oh,
But I'm
I
gonna
can't
end it.
even, I can't even
You
see. All
can't
I
even
see is my
see.
arm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So
I just got an
so
arm.
that's what I meant. Like, that's what I meant why I didn't do that because like, I mean, I guess people just want to hear us talk, but go over to YouTube. So folks, go over to YouTube. I'm going to keep it up for just a little bit to YouTube. If you want to see the live in real action.
And just on some elbows.
Yeah, not your elbow. So I'll leave that up for just a little bit. But anyway, yeah. So everything else has been good. What else is new, man?
Yeah, that's it, man. Just been producing some works. Right now I'm working on my first national project that I got like a year and a half ago with the Port of Seattle. I'm making a series of sculptures that's going to live on their baggage claim system. 3 bronze sculptures. It's taken a minute to be able to get here, but I'm really excited about them. It provides an opportunity to get folks to just like chill out for a minute as they're like waiting for their baggage. I think that baggage claim can
That's
tend to be like the most stressful place at the airport.
bro.
Why is
Baggage
my
claim is
baggage here? Yeah,
yeah. It's
it
like
gets stressing. Go.
I think art is. Excuse me. I think that excites me because I think art is needed down there, man. Like it's like the armpit of flying. You know what I mean? Like you get home and you got to go down. You get off the plane. You happy to be home, and you got to go down there and stand in the random ass baggage claim, and there's nothing down there. It's empty. I don't know. I just feel like people are mad. People are
Yeah,
ready to be home. Yeah,
it's
lighten up the
it's the
mood a
most
little bit.
festival place. Yeah, exactly. So whenever, being you're putting it on or you're receiving it, I definitely wanted to create a word that was symbolic of just like taking a moment to calm. So last year I created this series of works with like these black figures that are just out in the environment. It came from a couple years back. I lost my brother, and a couple more family members to addiction. And I just wanted to be able to just kind of real time make work while I was healing and mourning. And I ended
Mm,
up just visiting like all these places. I love this place so much because it's just so beautiful. Like coming from Kansas, like Kansas is amazing. That's the place I
yeah.
came from. It's what made me. But like definitely coming out here and being able to have so much lush foliage, so many super dope destinations to be able to visit. I started going back to these places that just brought me natural calm. I'm a small town kid, like, you know what I mean? As much as like I
Okay.
love being able to live in a close proximity to Tacoma as well as Seattle, like I am really just like a small town person. You know what I mean? Like I
That's what's up.
really just always am incredibly introverted. Even right now, I feel a little bit anxious, which is crazy to say, but truly, even right now talking, I feel a bit anxious. I just hide
Uh,
myself in the work. So to be able to just, be mourning the loss of my older brother, I just went to these public parks, man, and just started to capture these different moments of me just mourning. And then that just ended up turning into a series. And I found that like I really like painting black people outside. We have
mm,
a history of staying away from trees because trees brought
yeah.
like pain to us, like having to work fields. And I wanted to do something that like found us out in these open spaces and just be able to capture that. So, kind of against like the traditional Gordon Park style of like inner city photography, which is incredible, which like I use as compositions to put people inside of like open spaces. I just want to start to do like landscapes with black people. So
Mm,
that's what it'll be. Like
that's
three
fire.
figures. Yeah, it'll be three figures just laid out in grass, chilling. So it's like I'm about to drop my baggage off or I'm about to pick my baggage up, and all you just see is just like this black man just strum out in the grass, just hand up, chilling, like literally
I
hands in the
love it.
sky, just like chilling. So I just wanted to give people a moment to be calm and reflect.
Yeah, that's fire, man. I love it. I love the explanation about why. So, like, this is at the SeaTac airport, correct?
So the SC Airport,
Okay.
150,000 people a day, 30 million people a year. The brand new terminal they just built out. So the terminal is like open. The work is going into fabrication right now. It'll be installed in the next like 2 to 3 months. And it has like been an
That's
amazing opportunity working
holy.
with like the port. But it's been a process being able to get here. And I'm really thankful.
Yeah, that's super dope, bro. Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited to see that now. Shit. I'm excited to, like when I go there now. I mean, just having this even conversation and this piece, I will go back to this and people will know, like, okay,
Yeah.
that's the origins of it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about you, like give people like an intro about like, and you kind of have alluded to that already, but what are you passionate about? What's your
Yeah.
passion? What gets you?
For sure. I mean, really being able to create spaces of visibility for Black people is like really like
Mm,
the root of everything I do is that it's about visibility. You think about a great book by Rolf Ellison, like The Invisible Man, talks about that process of invisibility and just that always feeling underrepresented, underseen. I don't like words like underrepresented, marginalized, but
mm-hmm.
paradoxically, they're true statements. They really are true statements. So through my work, it's about that being able to create space. And like I use Black bodies is a representation to create space for people. It's like my activist statement. Like it's the thing that we've historically had the least amount of. We don't
Mm,
really have the
mm-hmm.
opportunity to like have historically owned spaces. We don't have the ability to come from the greatest amount of wealth. So it is changing. That is absolutely changing. But I'm
Right.
really about being able to create space for Black people. Like that's a really big thing for me. And I think that, with my work, that's what I tend to do. And it's always changing. Like I think of myself as a very site specific artist. I know there's artists out there that have a traditional style that you can assume that whenever you see that work, you're going to notice them. I spend a lot of
Uh-huh.
time laboring over right work, right place, right message. That's it. Like
Mm,
it's the core tenets of everything that I do. has to deal with like making a large city statement with the Black Lives Matter mural, with the Vivid Matter
Yeah.
Collective, if it's
Which
being
was
able to
super
talk.
dope.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And like, shout out to the crew for that. Like Takia, Joey, putting that opportunity on, Jaffe. Like, we really appreciate y'all for even letting that happen for us. And like the city themselves, like it's going on year 5 this year, and the city's still talking about like, how do we preserve the statement? Like them being able to reroute traffic inside of the city so that they can keep that there, and what's the
Love
next
it.
phase of that? Yeah.
I love
But
that.
it's a really great thing. That in, anytime that I'm doing like public artwork, really being able to imbibe the story of what was happening in that area and being able to tell that through work. I know a lot of people know me for portraits, but the work is constantly changing. It's going into sculpture. It's going into environmental works that have to interact with the elements that I had an opportunity to make an artwork doing. As you brought up earlier, talking about film, like now, one of my big things also in that space of visibility is I started a series called Portraits, where I'm interviewing creatives that are making radical works. Like I sit down with you last month, but I love that. Like I love to focus that work on people and then be able to tell their story in a dynamic way, just not the 30 to 60 seconds. And that's dope for content creators that are making reels, but I'm looking at long form, like things that are like something people can chew on. And I think about it like the anti-artist statement is artists, like we are always like bound to like, tell me what you are doing in 3 paragraphs. And with this,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be able to give people as much breadth as possible to talk about what they're.
Yeah, because I
apologize.
feel like it does. Well, no, that's great. It's doing the artist disjustice. It's an injustice if you're just asking them like, like for example, even having this sit down and conversation without some of your art and people seeing it, it's really doing you a disservice. And injustice is maybe extreme, but you know what I'm saying. Like people can go and find your work, but also at the same time, you're more than just your work too. Like there's an artist behind that and some in thoughts and words. So I guess it goes both ways. But I love that you picked up that discipline, and I've watched you level up in it hella fast.
Yeah.
Like super fast. And it's impressive to watch. And I feel like it's added definitely a new element and perspective to your work and your mind and what you see and how you see it and view it and how you edit it. And man, it's been really fun.
I'm like, again, before we went live, like I talked about, like I'm never against like signing up to do something and publicly failing in order to learn it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all about like the L's being lessons, and having made art professionally for the better part of 12, 13 years, like there's an insurmountable amount of no's that have came in, but along with those, you figure out how to refine the process. Is a painter, you go from, I originally started out with just like illustrating, drawing, I'm like a pencil, some paper, that's all I had. And then, started working with like different types of paint. Originally, I was working with like house paint, the same houses going on people's walls, typically just used for like murals. I was using those, then started going more into acrylic. Then I started working with like oil. That's where I sit at now, it's just oil. But starting out with like cell phone and like all I could do is just get the composition correct there, and then being able to move to different cameras and maybe some publicly available like photo or video editing software to like now mastering things like Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve. It's like I really truly love to rapid prototype, meaning like I will just figure it out along the way. And whenever I get put on projects, I found that like that's kind of became the thing. Anytime I'm working with someone, it's like I always go in with an idea of like, yo, like this would be dope. And it's like, but could we do something like this? And then it's like, well, I mean, like, yeah, I want to be able to preserve what it is that I'm doing, but like that's a good point. And like maybe we can figure something out. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, you're better than me at that because I have a hard time with that. Just admittedly, I like the creative freedom where I get to just do what I want and drop it when I want. And then the only person that really has any say is Anne, and I'll give it to her and be like, what do you think or whatever. I mean, I do stuff for random little stuff, but I have a hard time. I struggle with that. And that's something that I know I need to work on as a creator. And for my own sanity moving forward, I probably need to get better at that. But still, like the vision part that's a skill, learning how to navigate your vision with someone else's vision. Now, here's a question I had to follow up to what you were just saying. I heard you talk about oil versus acrylic. Because I'm not a painter, but what's the difference between like the technique working with oil, like where you're at right now versus what you were painting with prior?
I
And
wanna
how,
start out by saying, yeah, for sure. With that, like whatever works for somebody, do, because I know people that work in acrylic that can do hyper realistic paintings, and people that work with oil that can do like hyper realistic. It's whatever works for you. I
mm,
particularly like working with oil as of late because I early on I thought that like the process of creating art was like kind of exercising the feeling. You know what I mean? It's like
mm,
I got this thing that is in my mind, or it's in my soul, it's in my body. I need to get out. And that's why like I love being able to use like music to real time work.
mm,
Over time, I was just like, yo, like I like to revisit works. You know what I mean? Like so I like to look at something, reduce it, add more to it. And I found that whenever I work with oil, that just allows me a little bit more permanence. Like it allows me the ability to be able to stretch my work a lot longer. Additionally, and I know that a lot of people might not think this is the case, but like I think that I just get more for my dollar when it comes to oil, because oil,
okay,
you know, with any type of other colors that I was working in, while you're figuring out color theory, not to get too heady about it, but with color theory, with oil, I can mix any color on earth now, just by
mm,
understanding how to put things together. So what I have to do is like, it's really limited the amount of paint that I need to buy. Like when I was
okay,
working with latex, I might have like, yo, right now on the studio outside, like man, hundreds of paint that I've just collected over the years that's in latex. I can't do anything with that right now. But with oil, I can get 7 to 10 tubes, and I can literally be able to mix any color that I want to. So I go with oil for that. It's like economically, it just makes more sense.
okay. Yeah, that's interesting. How about like texture? Does the texture like does that come into play as you're working with oil versus latex and all
Absolutely.
of that?
Yeah, I really like the finish that comes with oil painting as well. Again, because I think
Okay,
that there's a lot more transparency. There's so much more whenever you get into like the science of how colors work with one another. There's just so much more you can do from like a glazing. You can sand down a painting if you ever need to. There's so many. I just feel like, again, like from a permanence perspective, there's just so much more that you can do with oil painting. And for me, particularly as it pertains to painting different skin types,
mm-hmm,
it does that for me. Like I can paint so
okay,
much more in terms of skin types with like oil. And
yeah,
but know that that holds true for any type of paint. That there's really 6 different colors that you can make any type of skin type under the sun. But like I have like a go-to set of colors that I'm working with
okay.
my oils now that I really like to use.
That's yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, I haven't really had a chance to talk to you about that, like get into the weeds, we're not gonna get too far in the weeds about like that. But I mean, I think that that's important because like when I see your work now, I feel like the oil, I feel like the oil joints, like the subjects speak to me a little bit more, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah,
It's
for
almost
sure.
like they're jumping off the canvas, um, and I think that's super dope.
And that just
So
speaks to the practice too. That just speaks to the
yeah,
practice of just like literally like, I was just talking to my homeboy about that like I literally for the past 9 years, 2 days have not gone by without me making art. Like straight. It's weird
okay.
now. It's like literally like there are thousands of sketchbook paintings out there. They're just like literally like hundreds of paintings. It's just been this dedication to really exploring the figure and just really figuring out the right way to tell these narrative stories. And as a small business owner, as a visual artist, like I don't take that lightly. Like there is no like,
Mm,
yo, like I don't go looking for inspiration. I literally cannot think about the last time I was inspired behind anything. There's always the feeling of like, yo, like some things are happening outside and this makes me want to do some work, but there's not been like a aha moment where it's like I have to run
right.
and do something. It is just a continuation of just doing the thing every single day. That's it.
Yeah, and I love that series when you started doing the. I'll make sure my thing is here.
Yeah.
When you started doing the those books, like the day
Mhm.
sketches, I loved that. And I'm gonna go ahead and just, this is a great segue to the next topic. You're like basically like the J. Cole of regional artists up here, like because you got your pen, you got your paintbrush not working. You know what I'm saying? And how does that practice every day? Like, do you do that just to keep you sharp, or do you do it for sanity? Because there's different reasons why people might do that.
Yeah,
I think he has
two
a
part.
bar. I think he has a bar in Clouds that he said, like, in the recent joint, he said something about how he like does it for his sanity. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
And so that's where I
exactly.
came
Yeah.
with that question from.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jay had a bar on Beast Chair where he said, like, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not trying. Every day, hit every wave like I'm Hawaiian. Every
Mm,
bar that I know of Jay-Z is like, I don't know why that one like stuck with me. It's like I create every day because like I really have to. Like I really like have to. We have like no, truly, like we have like a history of depression that runs in my family.
okay.
And bro, it gets weird whenever I'm not like kind of keeping myself like in tune with me. If I'm not checking in with me, then like
Mm,
it'll start to manifest in just weird ways, man. Like there might be a 5 day stretch where I'm like, man, I'm just not feeling it. And I'll start to like question like everything. Art is the
yeah.
one thing that allows me to, it's like running for me. It's because I do them both so much. Like it literally
Hmm.
allows me to turn everything off. Like I'm talking about, I can have $5 in my account to my name for the next like 10 days. And I know it's going to be a stretch, but like, man, once I open up that book or I start working on canvas, it's like everything is okay. And it allows me the opportunity to every day feel like I did something. You know what I mean? Like, cause
Yeah.
that's it. Like bro, I'm so weird about time. Like time is like it's just because it's not a real thing, but it's also something that kind of plagues my life. It's like,
Come on.
what was last month like? What was last year like? What was 2, 3, 4 years ago? Those things all bother me. Give me one second. My dog's about to start barking. Give me
Oh
one
no, you're
second.
good. Yeah. He was talking, Barry talking about time, I think is fascinating. I just had that conversation with someone. And, I think the time aspect, we'll come back to that thread,
Yeah.
go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, but yeah, those things that plays so much to me. So being able to create work allows me a space to be able to just deal also real time when things are happening. Because I'm such an introvert, like, whenever I look at like everything that's kind of happening around our nation, I'm always like, like I need to do something. Like I really need to be able to do something. I think that anybody just sits there and like, acts like it ain't my problem, is like you're complicit in the bullshit. So
Yeah.
I use
Yeah.
art as like my way of being like an activist. And anytime that I can go up to support community, be able to document, like be able to work with other artists, like that's what I want to be able to do. And that allows me simultaneously just like that kind of relief of everything that's happening around too. Because if I wasn't doing that, I'd, be somewhere on line, like screaming at people or out in the streets, making like,
Like
you know what I
me.
mean? Like, dude, I get too passionate about that. Like, man, I really take that. I'm serious. Yeah, like this is a good escape for me.
Yeah, that's funny. Like, yeah, I'm getting attacked right now. I've been getting attacked. Man, I'm getting attacked for saying I'm on a Cole post being like, man, he's the best rapper right now, easily. It's not even close, And I said that, and I'm getting attacked by K-bots. I'm getting attacked by all kinds of people. Someone said Eminem, you know what I mean? And I'm like, damn, the world is so negative. I feel like it's just negative right now. I'm partially baiting too. I'm not gonna front like oh my God, like I'm saying that very definitively because I know there's going to be some people that have something to say about that. I'm testing out the
We need
algorithms. Yeah.
we need that civil discourse, but we also need that civil discourse. Yo, man, you and I are on the same age. Like, dude, like, that there's nothing better than being able to go back and forth about artists. Who was the greatest MCs? Biggie, Jay
Yeah,
Z, and
yeah.
I was like, that has always been the thing. Like, there was a period where Lupe was out of this world. There was a period whenever people are like, yo, is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy like literally like one of the greatest albums that was ever made?
That
Like
yeah.
all these points, and like I really, really love what's going on. I don't even like to use the big three. I'm a Kendrick, I'm a heady rapper. So as
Yeah.
much as I know every Jay-Z lyric that has ever been written, I'm a huge fan of Nas because like I'll listen to Nas and be like, yo, I didn't even get at the time what he was saying. So
Yeah.
I really love that with Kendrick, and I love that with Cole. Like really,
Yeah.
like Cole, he made some decisions last year that you and I spent endless amounts of time texting about that
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
But like in reality, he's a phenomenal, phenomenal artist, and just like a true testament of just like a sheer willingness to continue on. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Despite everything he was up against, Jay that CD, Jay dubbing him, coming back later, rapping with Jay, like literally getting off Rock Nation, everything he's done, man, I really truly love it.
His journey, after I listened to the podcast, it gave me a whole newfound respect and perspective on his career. I didn't know he owned his own masters after in 2014. He's the first of the three to do that.
Yep, exactly.
So he had missed his first. You know, the other two didn't. They came out the gate and had classics, right? So I feel like as a man, he evolved first. And so his decision was rooted in they're just at different places in time as men. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like he's explained himself really well on what he did. Obviously, I wanted to see him go bar for bar with someone because I think he'd bar up anybody. But I also believe in peace. And I was like, I feel him. Like, yeah, I'm not, like, I ain't trying to get into all that shit. That's what I went away from my beginning of my whole career, was doing something for somebody else. And I went through that, and I don't ever want to do that again. And so,
and like for real, like for what though? Yeah, like I mean, like, yo, he's the greatest example of to show someone like how you can achieve critical success by not following the path that people put out for you. You know what I mean? Like he's always stuck to that. Like, yo, like even the professionally always talking about like no additional features, like literally like owning the process end to end. I'm going to produce it. I'm going to mix master it. I'm going to curate the beat. I'm going to write the bars. It's like, yo, all you're doing is just putting money back into your pocket. And like him owning his masters for the better part of 10 years and literally never saying anything about that is huge as well. Whenever he felt like it. So I think that he's the greatest example of like how you can treat this art of hip hop as a sport, and at the same time be able to just like, know your lines and still be able to collect your bread and still be revered. He's a revered artist.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated on how he's moving after that. Like, how do you get made fun of, you get mocked, and you still stay on your path to the fall off, which I think I think we're going to look back and be like, wow, that was a very strong like move and a very intentional. I don't know. It inspires me actually. And Dot, I have a hot take on that. I think we've talked about it. I'm not always sure, but I think Hove is obviously pulling straight. I think there's there's Dre, there's Hove, there's Jimmy Iovine. There's like another level of hip hop cabal, if you will. And you don't just know about the Super Bowl 6 months ahead of time. You know about the Super Bowl probably a year ahead of time or something like that. Absolutely. So I know that this was all orchestrated, and I don't think Hove was trying to have Drake be the face of hip hop at the Super Bowl. I don't think he was good with that, because we both agree on Drake. He's a pop artist. Like he's not here for the same reasons that Dot or Cole is. He's just not. Yeah. And it's in video. You can go back and watch all his videos and what he's driven by. He's not driven by the tenets of hip hop. He's driven by the tenets of pop and selling records. And all his fans talk about his sales. And I'm like, no one cared about sales when I was coming. Like, we didn't talk about that, bro. We talked about your skills. Period.
Yeah, nobody cared about that. Yeah.
Nobody cared about that, bro.
Yeah. Which is, so I had a real hot take a while back ago that I think that the creation of first-person shooter was done under the premise of one of them being able to get the Super Bowl and providing an opportunity for all of them to be able to touch the stage together. Uh-huh. So I think that Drake was like, yo, I got this thing going on with Dot, but like, whenever we talk about hip hop, sometimes it's bigger than just that personal thing. But I think Dot was like, nah, not above that. So whenever he sent that to him, he was like, yo, I'm surprised I got that feature request. We got some shit to address. You know what I mean? Like when he said that. So I think that Dot was like, nah, this ain't it. But like, I truly believe that like, whenever that song was made under the premise that like, one day, one of them were going to be doing the Super Bowl. And if they were able to patch up anything, it would have been an opportunity for all three of them to have like maybe hit a couple stadiums and did that. And then just it accumulates in like the biggest moment. But that's also why I love J. Cole and Kendrick's commitment to the art of it. Like, bro, that's where I
Yeah.
live at. It's like, yo, like, no matter what, no matter how I feel about like anyone or anything, and I ain't got beef with nobody, but like truly, like, I'm here only in service of the art. And that is something that I
Yeah,
do
that's
not take lightly. That is like, I will never like sacrifice like my integrity or the integrity of like what I'm trying to tell for Black people so that I can just be able to make a certain dollar amount or to be able to reach a certain audience. You know, like I love social. I love social like the next person. I love people that are able to be witty. I love what you do, that like people that are in a content space that can continue to produce. I'm
uh
always like, yo, like I got this thing I'm trying to do, and I'm just trying to do it the best that I can and the way that I want to. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's like where my IP lies. So I think that
that's
whenever it
dope.
came down to like Kendrick with that, he was like, no, man, like, I'm not gonna sacrifice like what we could do numbers wise or what we could do from an appeal perspective to be
Right.
able to appease you. I'm still gonna stand on my laurels of like, yo, like I don't really rock with you like that, and I'm gonna let it be known.
And Mans was talking greasy for a long time. He's been talking greasy.
What?
He talks hella shit. And I'm just
What?
gonna be like, and I see how he moves, and I'm like, bro, you're not that. Like, stop. You know what I'm saying? And so I think when you go back and listen to all the shots he's been taking, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. So,
I could
you know,
have all your fans if I stayed on some conscious shit. Like
yeah, like no, you
in
can't. You
LA with
actually
that.
can't because you're not like that, bro. Like, and I'm a big Drake fan of his music. I'm not a fan of him and the way he moves. You know what I mean? He's just
Yeah,
not a thorough dude. Like,
yeah.
so I'm
You know
really
what's funny?
glad. Yeah, what's up?
On that, like I'm the reverse of it. Like, yo, like I've never been the biggest fan of like his music. I mean, I can appreciate wherever he decides to channel his efforts into rap and what he can do. I will never take that away from him. But like,
Yeah,
was never the biggest fan of like the music. But I really could appreciate up until as of late the way that he moved as a business person. Because again, I
interesting.
think that I think the important thing for everybody, it all changed whenever he pulled that move about title though, which gives credence as to why Jay was like, yo, when it comes time to this title, this Super Bowl, you ain't gonna do that. Because when it came time for everybody to stand on that stage, Jimmy Iovine came in and pulled Drake and pulled that move. And I think that like, you know, from just a bigger business perspective, like Jay's like, all right, I'm cool with that. But also, you know, even though like Drake said he's the petty king of everything, Jay is kind of the original, like, yo, like, I'm gonna remember what you did, and it might be 5, 10 years later, I'm still gonna be able to remind you about that thing you did.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
I love his business acumen in certain respects, but as of late, and I think that's just a weird part as well, because like I think in music, there comes this point where it's
mm,
like our elders don't really know how to transition properly. And that's always been the problem with like hip hop. It's like certain motherfuckers just don't know how to like gracefully age in this space. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes like bro, like that's not working anymore. You know what I mean? So it would have
yeah.
been good to have seen what Big and Pac would have been doing right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, that
Like,
would have been so dope, man. Well,
bro,
let me rephrase what I was saying about Drake. I want to rephrase. I don't want to. This some is just cringeworthy. He ain't even got to be deep. I guess that's what
you
I
gotta be
mean.
deep, I
I don't
guess.
like him. I just don't. I just think he's a cringy dude. Like business wise, cool. He's doing his thing. Business. I just think he's a cringy dude. Like when I see him talk, I'm like, bro, you are fake.
Yeah,
You're not
I'm not
being
pushing against
real
that.
with me right now. You're switching your dialect up every single time I see you. Like it's just not thorough to me as a man. You know what I mean? And he's 38 and he act like he's about 25. Like
That's
he's
what I'm
trying
telling
to
you.
cosplay for 25-year-olds. I'm like, bro, I'm not I'm not you can move however you want to move. But I think it's time to grow up. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's make some evolved music. Stop talking about taking dudes, women, and stuff like that. Like, that ain't
And
nothing
that's
to be
always
proud of.
and for me as a person that's like an album guy, like I really want to be able to sit like Vince's last album was incredible. You
Vince's
know,
last
Vince has
album was
got a narrative.
crazy. I love Vince.
Vince got a Vince got an album start to finish that's like got a thorough a through line to every story. Like so,
Yeah,
I think that that's the really interesting part and the thing that really kind of never put me in a place to really fully accept that music because it's not cohesive in that regard. And I think like as a painter, you know, one of the things that's very important for us whenever we're putting on a show is to have a continual narrative. Like I really, at this point in time, whenever I'm working on a solo show that's going to go up in Portland this year and another show that's going to go up in Seattle and hopefully a show that's going to land in Chicago. I'm pretty sure that's going to land on Lord willing. But like with all of these shows, it's like I'm trying to tell a very descriptive story. The same way that like when you look at like Illmatic, it was written a very succinct story. Like it does not have to be 30 paintings. It could be 7, 12 paintings, but like there's one continual narrative throughout. And it took me a while to understand the importance of that. But I really built my art career looking at hip hop and looking at like how some of my favorite artists are able to adapt their story as time goes on. That's why I love Dot, because that's why I love Cole as well. Like I love as a person that's like really a recluse. I love the fact that they're just like, yo, man, I'm only going to come out whenever it's time to do some art shit. But other than that, like, yo, I got my wife, I got my kid, like I got my regular ass life. Like, man, I love being able to walk around Federal Way and go to like the coffee place and no one knows me. Like more people know what I'm doing in Seattle and Tacoma than know what I'm doing in Federal Way. All they know me here is just a dude getting, you know, a cold brew and going for a run. That's it. That's it. You know what I mean? And I always want that.
That's what's up, man. Yeah. So is hip hop a big influence to your work, to your art?
Major, man. Major. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, yo, and what's crazy is like my dad is the one that turned me on to hip hop in like the biggest way possible. Like literally, because I was always like a Biggie fan. My dad was like, nah, man. Like whenever Pac came out with Me Against the World, like he was like, yo, sit your ass down. You need to listen to how this young, which is crazy, like not even realizing how young that man was at the time, but the things he's saying and like the way that he's going about. And I always love Big because Big was just like the purest of wordsmiths and was like a dude that was like, yo, like you ain't got to be the prettiest, still be flying. Like that was something that like I really like loved because I was like, all right, cool. Like there's so many ways that you can still be able to get things and do things and make a mark in life while not just like, you know, I'm not 6'5", you know what I mean? You know, so it's like it, you know, so I think that was the thing that like really drew me towards it. But man, like when I'm talking about reading, like, yo, man, when I'm talking about my ability, like listen, language dialect, like, yo, like back in the day, when we had those big ass speakers, like, man, I literally used to sit there and like get the album, would hit play, write down the lyrics to the song, play for about 5 seconds, write it down, like literally like how I learned how to like memorize things, like how I learned how to develop language, like all came from hip hop. And it's always played an integral part of my life everywhere. You know what I mean? And you know, just being in the 80s, like I'm always like going to be in R&B, but like hip hop, R&B is like been like at the forefront of all of my art forever.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. I can relate because like I think that's what makes it so difficult for me to give up like control of my creations or the stories I want to tell is because the music choice. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell people, I see music, I don't hear it. Like I just see it. Like when I'm listening to a song, there's literally a video playing in my head. I'm watching the video in my head. It's hard to explain. I know you explain. I mean, I know you get it. And so when I think about how I create, I think that's super, I don't know, it's really intimate and it's really me, you know what I'm saying? And so like, for example, Court of Gold, me and my son watched that this weekend, the Netflix joint. I was watching it going like, this is cool. It's standard. It's Siggy. You know what I mean? Like the music choice. There was one Redman joint in it and I got it. Was like, ooh, okay, thank you. Like, but in terms of the culture of basketball, American basketball, it was devoid because American basketball and NBA and hip hop are linked. Like they're I could do a whole class, a semester class on how the ascent of both is linked to each other, starting with AI, pre-AI and post-AI. Like it's clear as day. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, so so when I think about it, I'm like, man, there's so much more context to this. Now I understand that they're making it for a wide audience in other countries because they got other countries. So I get that. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. It was very good. I'm just saying in terms of, for me personally and how I create, it's definitely more, the music choice is super, super important, I guess.
I mean, yo, let's laid out there. It is truly one of the most influential forms of art that exists in the world, in the
Right.
actual world.
Right.
And it's been like that. It's had a stronghold for the better part of 40 years. Since it's like, I know we're coming into 52, but like truly, since you started getting people making braggadocious, bombastic statements, like these things that just stayed in the American forefront and the way, and whenever people found a way to make money off it, it went even further. Like, yo, like I can't help but to think about what like, a Range Rover, what Timberlands would be. Remember when everybody was drinking Cristal and then Buddy came out and was like, this ain't for y'all. And then Hove was like, all right, cool. And then that company's like, we don't even hear about that anymore. Like, sure, I'm sure they're doing okay. Maybe they're not. I don't know. After he said, like, we're not checking for it, I'm not checking for it anymore. But like, when you look at, I mean, even leading up to this year's like Super Bowl, like when you think about like Not Like Us and what that did, when you think about what Cornucopia did, reminding people about the importance of like black bands with Cornucopia whenever you have Tyler doing this thing. Like, yo,
I need
there's
to go back to Cornucopia, man. God
what
damn.
sticky, what that whole
I need to
album
go
is.
back to that.
That kid is a genius. Almost
He
my
is a
age. Like,
genius.
he's a genius. He is a literal like genius. Like he is so brilliant. And again, just another person that's like a purist. It's like literally like, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make no sacrifices around the art. If I got to sit still for a few years while I figure it out and kind of let a melody play in my head, it plays such a critical part. And it's like, even my daughter's 11 years old. Like I'm again, continuing this developing relationship that my dad had with me around music with her. Like, yo, man, this is what all the kids are saying about like Kendrick, and this is what all they're saying about like Drake. And I don't like Drake because this. I'm like, girl, hold on, give it a second. Like, the man, like, you still, regardless of what, like, how you feel about him, you still have to be able to look at the art in totality and be like, all right, he's been able to do things that no one else has been able to do. And
Right.
what's the next version? That's what worries me now, is because it's like, we kind of had this past like few years to be reminded of the importance of hip hop, but like, what happens whenever Kendrick is like, yo, it's just PG Lang moving forward? What happens to the fall off? You know what I mean? Like what? And it's like, I think he said he had one more album after that, but like, what happens after what happened?
I don't
And what
know.
happens
I'm
whenever
excited.
Drake is like, yo, like, fine, y'all don't want me to be here, I'm gone.
I don't think we'll miss Drake as much.
Yeah.
I really don't. My transmitted my mic just like, and I don't know if we're gonna. Let me see if I can change my mic over to.
Yeah, go for it.
But I can't switch mics. Really? Can you still hear me? All right.
You're echoey, but I can still hear you. It's not as crisp.
Can you still hear me now?
You want to take a minute?
Can you hear me right now?
That's that.
Yeah. Damn. All right. Well, I can't switch my mic in the middle of the thing, and I didn't realize how low it was. Typical stuff. So am I echoey right now? Is it?
It's not crazy echoey, but it's not as crisp.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we will have to rock.
Let's do it.
Because it won't let me switch my mic out, because I do have a mic here. I have another mic. But this is just typical stuff that I deal with going live. You know what I mean? Like people,
real time.
Like if I just did it post, like it would all sound good and everything would be cool. But but I think I'm forgetting what I was talking about. Sorry, but
It's all good.
We just talking.
Yeah, what happens whenever the big three, whenever they decide to be done?
Yeah, follow. So I think I think we could be getting that in the next few weeks. Dreamville Fest is coming up. It's the last Dreamville Fest. I just think that he wants to have the fall off out. I just don't know if it'll be out, but he's gonna give us something like before the Dreamville Fest. But I don't think the fall off is coming. Yeah. I'm just saying that live here. I hope it does. I've been waiting for 7 years, but I'm not holding my breath for it. I'll be surprised if it does. So
the off season was amazing. I really liked the Might Delete Later. There was some joints on there. I just I wonder, because I was talking to my wife about this. It's like, usually whenever, as a visual artist, like you're kind of promised to be a failure from the beginning. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
It really is that. Like, out of the 5 million active artists that could be in the United States, like less than 1% of them can be able to live off the money that they get from the sale of art, because selling one of anything is hard. And it's not like music where you can just step and repeat. It's like, the better you get at art, I'm priced out of my own artwork. I can't afford my own artwork. you know, uh, so, I kind of delusionally signed up in this field where it's like, I'm kind of promised that like maybe 50, 100 years after I'm just earth food, that maybe somebody will look back and be like, yo, this guy did something. But that's okay because like, I'm really always thinking about whenever I'm not here as while parallel thinking about why I'm here. But the really interesting thing about that is doing this work, you just like, all right, like, don't know what else I need to do now. Like I
Mm,
started this out and was like, there was like 5 things on a list that I wanted to do in terms of being able to do like a couple really big, like permanent fabrications. I wanted to be able to do a whole building entirely, like all the artwork for it. I wanted to be able to be collected up in the White House. And I wanted to, at the top of it, like be collected at the airport. I'm going to do a permanent piece of art at the
mm.
airport. Literally, when I walked through, because I had never been to Washington whenever I moved here. I literally like pulled up and was like, all right, cool. Like I live here and I didn't have family here. I knew no one here. I didn't even know about the time change.
What brought you up here? Was it military or?
No, 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 no. I literally like being in Kansas was just like, I want to get away from Kansas because there was just economically, there was nothing to do there. And I just knew
Okay.
that I ended up getting in trouble. I just knew I'd get in trouble. So it's like, yo, like I was talking with my homeboy and my homeboy Lindsay, and I remember like telling him, I was like, yo, man, I think when I was school, then I'm gonna do something like go to like Seattle. Like literally just like couldn't even point to Seattle on a map at the time, didn't know Washington, didn't know Tacoma, didn't know anything. But the universe just conspired in my favor, and I end up getting a position out here as an AmeriCorps in Tacoma. So it's like I'm right there, the American Red Cross in Tacoma. And
Okay.
after I spent a year here, I was like, yo, like, I don't think I'm quite done here. And just, I've been here ever since. But like, whenever I decided to do art, I was like, yo, like, there's a list of things I want to be able to do. And I was just telling my wife, I was like, yo, like, I've kind of done all those things. So like, I'm really in a place now. I was like, yo, like, what do I do next? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
because I'm never about like the thing I love about hip hop is like, yo, I love that there's a fight for the ones. You know what I mean? It's like
Hmm. Hmm.
I want to be the best, but that doesn't exist in art, bro. Like you really want the world is better when there's more art. So
Hmm.
the reason, as much as I love hip hop, I would never talk shit and be like, yo, like ain't nobody messing with me out here. Because like in reality, I
Yeah,
want
that's not
every
the
single
energy.
person. Yeah, exactly. That's not it. You want all the homies. You want everybody to be able to make as much art as possible. So doing that also, I don't want to hog the stakes. Like I think that it's incumbent upon me as I'm doing more work to look back and always grab somebody and pull them up too. So that's what I've always
That's
done,
that's
champion
dope.
other artists. Yeah. So now that like I'm at a point where I was like, damn man, like I've kind of done so much. Like I really find myself these days. Like, I mean, what do you do after you get to the airport? Like, like, and I don't mean
Oh,
that
it's
like in a
gonna
braggadocious way. I just
no,
really
but
mean like I just
you'll find it. I mean, it'll find you
yeah,
actually. Like it'll
yeah,
find you. I'm big on, gratitudes and affirmations and writing out the affirmations
exactly.
and like how you said that you create every day. I have a hard time like if I don't do gratitudes and affirmations in a day, like I feel like I didn't sit down and take time with myself and affirm
That's
myself.
it. That's
Because
it.
we're in a world, especially right now, where you can open up your phone, app or whatever, and you're being attacked by, there's no more you're just constantly being attacked. And attack might be an extreme word, but it's really not though. Because it's my likeness. I didn't ask for none of that. I don't get to wake up and, I honestly would be dope to live in another country and not feel that weight. Nate Bowling talks about that a lot, about not feeling that weight of white supremacy
Right.
and
Right.
and how freeing it feels. Like he's like, man, it's weird. I feel normal again now. Like it's a trip. I'd be like, man, I wonder how I
Was
would respond in a situation like that.
And that's the crazy part because that's always been the case. You can't even it'd be hard to imagine. It would be
I
hard
know.
to imagine like never feeling the gaze of like other people when you walk in a space or just feeling like kind of like the energy shift whenever you walk. And at one point you just learn how to be like, yo, like that's just me. Like that's you know what I mean?
Right.
Like this I'm just so
That's my
accustomed to it. I
aura.
said and coming from like Kansas and the South, like people my entire life have been very black and white about black and white. So that's something that like has always been there. You know what I mean? Like having to deal very, very, very early on with like heavy racism from the neighborhood, heavy racism from the school. But that's why I rock with my dad so much, because like he's that person that very early on like told me that you never let another person dictate your self-worth when I was like 9 years old. So at that point, like there wasn't shit anybody could tell me in terms of like race. And it's like, yo, like I'm not tripping on that shit. Like we got to go to blows, we'll go to blows if you go there that far. But
Yeah,
outside of
yeah.
that, like, you know what I mean? Like I ain't tripping on that.
Talk about going to blows. I feel like there's a lot of people out there talking like, how the racists want to get all loud now. I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people online are talking, but not ready for the consequences. Cause I'm like, man, like pull up, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm willing to get my ass beat. Like I'm okay with that. I'm not saying
Or the
I'm
other
trying to
part,
fight what's up?
or the other part, have to
Yeah. Or
serve
I'm
some
not,
people. Just a little
yeah,
straightening, a little straightening.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared to get it popping. No Diddy. Like I, I I don't really want to go there, obviously. I'm a grown man. I do not want to fight. I'm the last person that wants to fight. I'll put that out there straight up and down. But I do have my limits on certain things. If people want to talk crazy, then we'll see how far you want to take it, like Dot. Um, but yeah, I just think I don't think there's any room for that. I think people got a lot of courage online and the internet, and there's like consequences are no longer a thing. You know what I mean? Like with this new generation, they can just talk crazy and just type it out and then keep it moving. I'm like, that's not how the world works, man. Like if you did that Roman salute, or what they call a Roman salute, it's a Nazi salute. Like do that in front of me and see what happens, and see how I respond. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
please, I'd love to. Like, I'd love for you to do that, because I'm gonna step to you. I'm gonna be like, hey, what the fuck was that, bro? Like, why? I'm gonna ask. I'm not gonna sit here and like say I'm gonna steal off on you or nothing like that. But you're gonna there's consequences to your behavior. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people don't have consequences, and I'm
Yeah.
sick of that. To be
You
honest
know,
with you.
it's crazy because like people act like at no point can shit not really go there. And the sad part about it is that like, I mean, that's the way that you bring about like change, is that like you really can't turn a blind eye to things. And it's like, I'm not a person that's condoning violence. That doesn't ever need to be the
Nah,
case.
not
But
at all. Never
if
that.
you
I know that.
if you but no, but like paradoxically, it's like there needs to be a point to where people need to understand that like, yo, like if we really try to bring about change, like this shit can't continue on. Like
Nah, it might have to be
this can't
violence.
continue on. It
I'm
might
not even gonna be.
exactly, because
It might have
history
to
has
be.
right. History has shown that like that's it. That like, yo, like it might necessarily like need to really pop off for people to understand that like, yo, we're not going to like take whatever it is that you're trying. And it's like the nation right now is it's in such a weird spot where again, bro, it's like we can't really have like civil discourse about things.
Right.
People just are so up in arms about literally any and everything, and it like really causes like issue with me. And at the same time, people are like very quick to make like statements that are like, you would never say that to my face, but then whenever you pull up and got to say something to somebody, it's like they got their hands up, like, yo, like, what
Yeah,
was me?
yeah.
What is that? Or it's like you're trying to explain things.
I
You're trying
didn't
to
mean it
explain
like
things
that,
away.
bro. I didn't mean it like
Yeah,
that, bro. You know how many times I've heard that? A million times
that
in my
whole
life.
that whole salute was crazy. Like that whole like that shit
It's
blew my mind,
multiple.
and I was like,
The Mexican dude,
yeah,
Elon, Steve
yeah,
Bannon, like they're
yeah,
just normalizing it, bro. That's crazy to me.
yeah,
But like I also don't. I also believe firmly. I believe in people. I'm an optimistic person. I believe people all want the same things. I believe in the bell curve. I believe that people all kind of land in the middle somewhere. Um, I believe all of those things. I believe people are mostly in the middle, and and I just believe that there's algorithms and other people that are dictating how people feel, because not everyone's a critical thinker, and that's okay.
yeah,
People want to be
yeah,
led and people want to be followed, and that's okay. Or, people want to be led and want to believe in something, and I'm completely okay with that. So,
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand that.
And it's like I think also it's very important to be able to have like discernment between like what's happening online and what's happening in real life. You know what I mean? That's why I
Facts,
always tell
facts,
people when it
facts,
comes down to like real change, like that real change needs to always happen on a systemic level. Like, yo, like that needs to
facts.
always happen like on a very localized level, because no matter what they're doing in the White House, no matter what's happening at the highest levels, like it takes a real, and it's like, you need to be able to pay attention to that as well. But like the
Right.
realest of real, like the people that are just, you know, you talk about that, like people attacking you online about bullshit. It's like, you know, like, why are you angry at me around my thoughts around something? Like, that's the beauty of art, is that like it provides an opportunity for people to like be able to have their own view on shit. Like, that's it. Like, I can
It's
have my own opinion on
crazy.
something. It's crazy,
Bruh,
bro.
you can even go look. So I made a comment on a Rick Pitino post, and I mentioned this in the last podcast. And then I instantly, like not instantly, I put up a post about the Breakfast Club. There's a Breakfast Club vlog I did real quick, and I'd never done that before in the whole 15 to 20 years I've been doing this. And someone from that post came over to my post that I posted because I said something about like, oh, people want to call me soft, but like I'm showing up to an empty gym every Friday and it's empty, and it's there for a reason. Soft is like not showing up.
Right.
Hard is
Exactly.
like showing up. And they came over and said soft as shit, or left some comment on there. And I have my zingers. I'm online. I can deal with it. But it's just an interesting time where people just are quick to name call, like
Yep.
getting to know somebody or anything like that. It just really trips me out. Like that angry aura and that angry energy that you carry, who hurt you? Like, I feel bad for people. I'm like, these men are insecure and emotional, more emotional than women. Men are more emotional than
What?
women. Like, let's
Have
just
been,
put that out there.
have been for a minute, but no, it's true. Have been for like a
Forever.
minute, like literally no emotional stability, no ability
None.
to be able to just like process things. And that's also where like a lot of real violence happens, because people crash out very quickly over
Oh,
shit
they
that's
are.
like, man, like, dude, if you would have spent like a little bit more time and just settled on that for a little bit, you would have been fine. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
again, like
man.
that's, and I can appreciate people that are able to engage with folks back and forth online about it. And as a visual artist, like I always talk about, like every day of my life, I sign up to publicly fail. Anytime I put a
Yeah,
piece
yeah,
of art
yeah,
out there,
yeah.
I could have worked on that piece of art, like, cause I'm like you, like, yo, like I'll be sitting there, like going through music and I was like, oh, this is the perfect song. I want to make a painting, specifically this song. Like, yo, I got this way, I'm gonna roll it out. It's going to be
Yeah.
crazy. And I put that shit up and then it's like, got like 10 likes. And I'm like, oh my God, like, nothing happens. And I was like, yo. But then, like, you just very quickly just get used to, like, all right, cool. I'm just going to rinse, repeat. I talk about it with my wife all the time. It's like, we will just really be investing in our art so much. And you just
That,
get such a diminishing return. And it's like,
yeah,
that's okay, though, because, like, I know in real life, we really get busy. You know what I mean? It's like in
yeah.
real life. And it's funny, like, even like having an 11-year-old daughter, it's like, yo, she will literally be like, yo, like, this person right here, man, they got like 80,000 likes. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, yo, go look at that building right there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
that's
Facts.
gonna outlive all
Facts.
of us, you
That
know?
part. That part.
And it's great because then it's like, yo, like you get to, you know, because we're human beings, like being human. So it's like everyone can feel a range of emotion, but that's the one thing that like I really try my best is as best as I can is like check my feelings. So whenever people be on bullshit, I'm just like, man, like, there's a space that you need to stay away from me with that. So long that you got whatever you got to say, you can do that. But like once you cross this line, that's up. But like
Yeah.
for real, like man, like because you know, like that's been my whole 40, man. Like that's been my whole life. It's just been like people having their feelings about, it might be race, it might be gender, it might be sexual orientation, it might be political affiliation, religious denomination. People always, and I'm just like, yo, man, like this shit is perplexing to me that people just can't be like, yo, like, but that's you. You feel like that, that's you. And I'm gonna feel like this. It's like, it used to be just in sports. That used to be the thing that people go to blows the most about
Right.
would be
Right.
sports. But now it's like you got people that are really like killing each other, like over their view about a person that don't give two shits about it.
Over that that they don't even know anybody about or like or don't even know
Yeah.
anybody of that. Like transgender
Yeah.
people are like, bro, have you ever, I always ask, like, what's been your experience? Have you ever met anybody or done it? Like,
Yeah.
no. It's
No.
99% of the time it's like it's no. And I'm like, so that's
Exactly.
a lot of energy. You don't have to agree. I'm not saying you have to agree. I'm not saying anybody has to agree with anything, but
Yeah.
how does it impact you? And if it doesn't
That's
impact you,
hate.
I would say, hey, maybe go get on the treadmill a little bit more, or you
Yeah.
might want to focus on some other things that might help you with your your anger issues because you clearly got them, or
Yeah.
you're doing something that's like you got too much anger in your heart, man. Like, let go of
Yo,
that shit.
like literally find something to do. Cause it's like, yo, like all that shit is like, yo, that be killing me. You'd be like, yo, like find something to do because it's
You
like
know who should be mad?
people.
You know who should be mad? Black people. We should have been
Yes,
storming.
but
And we are the most democratic, nicest people on the planet.
yeah,
Like, because of all the shit that we've been through in this country, we should have been had another civil war. We should have been got up in arms and did some shit. Yeah, we've burned down some cities and done some riots, but like we have never tried to overthrow the whole ass government. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So like I don't
for sure.
understand. So it's just like I don't know, sorry man, like to cut you off,
No, you're
but
not
that's
on that. No, you're not cutting me out. But on that, you know, the really interesting thing about that is like the one, there's this idea that if we do that, there's the outcome is just going to be, well, it's actually not the idea, it's the reality. Like the outcome is you could not have black people storm the Capitol the same way that the insurrectionists did.
no, we getting killed, bro.
Man, yo, it would have been a slaughter. It would have been horrible. And then by all accounts, people would make it seem like they're justified for it, which is even worse, man. That whole shit is so despicable to me, man, that it's like, again, I sit here in a place of like, I can't believe that people support like open racist and open person that's committed sexual assault and open person that really in his heart does not care about. And it's like, now you got a whole coalition of people right beside him that are like all there in support of it. Yo, feel how you want to feel about them. I don't want shit to do with that at all. Like that
Yeah,
shit
yeah,
is
yeah.
like crazy to me. It's like you got, and then whenever it be like, yo, people like this all for buddy, and then turn around, it's like, yo, the same people who were supporting him, it's like, then you're finding like your close family members are getting removed from the household. And it's like, did you not see this shit coming? What did you, because y'all got like, cause y'all got 1,700 fucking measly dollars. You thought that made shit cool. Or it's like, yo, even that whole like from talk, like even explaining away like openly sexually, yo, as a man and as an athlete, I'd have heard every conversation under the sun.
Right,
I have
same,
not
same,
heard that. I have never
same.
in my life, like that shit is like, wow. Why do you even think like that?
No, I
So,
mean,
and you know, I mean, like I'm one of many, so I know that there's absolutely conversations that like have happened that I was just like, yo, like, but also I'm on my collective business. So I just be like, it really blows my mind whenever people be rocking with people. I'm like, yo, like these are like not good people. And I'm not against like good or bad and people should just be morally great. But it's like, I don't believe in these human beings that like really have the general good sense of humanity in mind. I think that
I
they're,
don't think that
I think that they're
I don't
doing.
think that I don't think that that's what people are looking for, though. I don't think they look at that. I think they can look past it because they have the privilege to do so, you know. And in terms of the insurrection, I think I flipped it a little bit. I have to start thinking about it differently because to me, that's the biggest, that's power to the people, man. If you want to get like that's the most motion I've ever seen in my lifetime outside of the Million Man March or the riots or the Black History, 2020. Like I gotta respect it at the same time. It's like
Wait, respect
y'all
what?
feel respect like the fact that they're like, I feel this way. He's leading us. I'm finna get on a plane and go across the country to really do business. And I'm like, all right, well, we need to return that energy then. Simple, because that's power to the people. The way, if you really look at it, take all your feelings out in terms of who it is and all that. That's power to the people, man. We got to witness that. Like, and now look who's in the office. So I mean,
Exactly.
like that type of energy is actually that's what we're talking about. Black people, or we've been talking about that for a long time in terms of what we need to do, or we need to mobilize. We need to mobilize. Well, that's mobilization. They just did it. They just did it. They just showed us. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so I got
that's
to start thinking about it like that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I totally understand the thinking around it. I just think in terms of action, you will not get the same output. It might
No, no.
be in the one case of them being able to successfully do that, you add any color. Doesn't matter to be
Yeah,
black
it's
people,
a
it could be our
slaughter.
Latin brothers, sisters, our API brothers, sisters. But the moment that walks in, it's like you're going to be met with a completely different outcome. to always use a measure like that to further put in more things against Black and brown people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, you're right. You're
I
right.
always look, I look at it as like, what's our version of that? Like anytime that I see like, a space open and it might be like ran by like folks that don't look like us, I'm just like, yo, that's cool. And I want everybody to be able to have everything they want in life. But what's our version of it? You know what I mean? I
Right.
never stray away from that. Like, yo, like what's our version of that? Like what does Black home ownership look like? What does Black equity group like? What do these things look like? This because the really interesting thing about us is that like we're always going to figure out how to get money with everyone. It's just not
Right.
like
Right.
secluded to just one particular race. It's like, yo, it's like each one teach one each time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like that was to be able to have a feeling and to rush a place and to be able to just like make your statement, cool, I get that. But paradoxically, it's like, what is our version of it? And like even on the pandemic, like we knew that people weren't out marching against Black lives. People were just out marching because they were sick of being inside. They
Right.
refer to the Black Lives Matter as a literal. They refer to the Black Lives Matter movement as a literal trend. Is a literal trend, and
Yeah.
and it's like everything that was done is an effort to, kind of like, like, oh, our collective bad, we made a mistake. Like here's something to appease you for it. All that shit's went away. Like you know what I mean? Like we were just
Yep.
looking at like different states, and we were just talking about like the beauty of Florida. But paradoxically, I was like, yo, I couldn't be in that place because I don't want anywhere that's got critical race theory. Any place that's like, yo, like we refuse to teach people about like the history of this country. Like, no, man, I can't do that. I can't stand by it.
That's crazy, bro. Like when you think about that kind of shit. Like
Of
just
all
in my
accounts, too, not just like Black people. We're talking about gender. We're talking about
I know.
literally everything. It's like, no, we do not want anyone to come home and be like, hey, so it turns out 100 years ago, there were plans that were put in place that like were affecting all these other people, right? It's like, no,
Uh,
we don't want to.
uh,
We're trying to move past that.
yeah, I stopped trying to make sense of it, to be honest with you. Just because it breaks my brain. I'm trying to like move forward. I'm trying to create. I'm trying to inspire. I'm trying to be optimist. And so like even like so for example with this series, a lot of the first time I feel like last time in 2016 through 20, I feel like we were trying to explain ourselves and people were like going like, oh, I never knew. Well, now you know. So I feel like this time around I've been prepared in the sense that I am not spending negative energy. I don't want to put out negative output. I don't want
That's it.
to keep explaining to you Black trauma. I want to talk about Black joy. I want to talk about Black innovation. I want to talk about Black happiness. I want to talk about, like Black strength, Black intelligence. Like those are all things that are on my mind right now, and how we can
Absolutely.
empower ourselves, and as opposed to always continually. I'm not saying we go away from the history and we don't keep teaching it and we don't keep reminding people. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we in addition to that, we're empowering with our words and our stories versus, continuing to talk about the narratives of oppression. And because that's hard to see it over and over again. How many slaves movies can I watch? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many more
Yeah.
negative things can I watch about what's happened to Black people? Not saying we get away with it. I mean, I'm not saying we go away from it. I'm not saying that
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
at
exactly.
all.
And I get that. I get that. I'm all for those things because, like, on the other side of it, when you look at our Jewish brothers and sisters, they stand very firmly and, like, yo, like, you don't want to forget the transgressions of things that have happened in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
past.
nah.
While I understand also that there is this, as it pertains to visibility and equality, it's kind of like, yo, in order for a person to want to be seen as an equal, it's like you need to treat me as such. And like the things that have happened historically, like if you played no part in that, sure, you might benefit in some degree from it. But if that's just based on a genetic lottery that like your skin is more melanated or less melanated than my melon, like that's cool. I understand that in terms of how we get to equity, but there also needs to be a place of like, before you start saying that like, oh yeah, like I did it so you can do it, it's like you have to also understand that society's not set up like that.
Right,
There's like,
right,
you know,
right.
there's certain areas that like if I get, I was driving with my daughter and her friend um a couple weeks ago and we got pulled over because the cop behind me thought that I was riding excessively in the HOV lane. They got terrified whenever those lights came on because like all
Uh-huh.
they've known is Black men getting killed whenever they're getting pulled over.
Right,
But he
right.
comes over, starts talking. I'm like, yo, like, why'd you pull me over? He's like, oh man, because we thought you were riding excessively in the HOV lane. I'm like, man, what's going on? You got real
Uh,
work to be doing out here. It's 6 o'clock on a Sunday. Who cares if I'm riding excessively? One, I can because I got passengers with me. But like also like,
yeah.
yo, come on,
Who
man. Like
cares?
this
Yeah,
did
you
yeah,
bored,
and
bro.
this could have went completely different. But you know, I'm a law abiding citizen, so I'm like, no, man, I'm gonna let you know that was whack. But you know, under a different circumstance, I might have been reaching for my license. Gone.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I
true.
mean?
I
Like
mean,
I could have
yeah.
been, I could have been reaching for the registration. Gone. You know, so these are things that other people don't have to be worried about. That it's just the real reality of every single days of our lives.
No, that's real, man. You know what's really really interesting that I was just thinking about as you've mentioned your daughter a few times in this conversation, and I think about my boy last night. I got up and just was like, yeah, I'm proud of you, and I just think that it's really dope to see your impact on your kid, and you won't know it until later. So like I know it now. Like for example, Tay is a big J. Cole fan. Like he knows. Like we're sitting there, I'll put a song on, and he knows the words more than me. And I'm like,
Mhm. That's beautiful.
I didn't know. I was like, wow, I had a lot of impact on this young man um,
So much.
as he's growing up. And his best friends, that family listens to rock. So he's exposed to that too. And it's really dope.
Yep.
I love it, and it's
Yep.
good. They listen to good music though, good rock music.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's great rock out there. Make no mistake, there's
yeah,
great rock out
yeah,
there. Good
plenty of
country
it.
out there.
Yeah,
What?
all of it. I
It's
love
great
music in
music.
general. And I think that that's really dope. So I think I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're talking about, and your daughter is going to be so impacted by growing up with a black father. Same as my boys, like Wilson is he produces music and he's pretty good. He's a creative through and through.
Let's go, Wilson.
And I'm hooking him up, and just I want to feed that. I want to feed that appetite, pause, for music. You know what I mean? I want to definitely make sure that he understands, like, I value that just as much as if you played a sport or whatever. Like, your creative is your power. It's your superpower.
It truly is. And really think
uh
about as we talk about these things like generational trauma that gets passed on and how easy it is to change that. Like truly
uh
like, my dad's dad wasn't there. So he told himself very early on, no matter what, he would be there for every single one of us.
Right.
So he was able to cut some generational traumas in one fell swoop. So our parents, I feel like the iteration of parents get better each time around. It's like,
uh
yo, like,
Yeah. Facts.
a dad like 2 dads ago might just think that he's never supposed to show any type of emotion with his father, with his son at all. Now you got you. It's like, yo, I just told my son that I'm proud of him. Like some kids like had to wait their entire life to hear that from their father. They might hear that one time. So to be
I
able to
know,
know
because I've been told that
exactly,
by kid, and it broke my heart. I was like, wait, you didn't know that your dad cared about you, and you're a senior or a junior or a
exactly,
20-year-old man. Like,
exactly,
that's crazy,
exactly.
bro.
It's very crazy.
That's
And he
crazy
might,
to me.
and his dad might have not had the opportunity for someone to tell him good job. So he didn't know that he was
Facts.
supposed to do that. So with each generation, we get a little bit better. So I feel like with our kids now, it's like we're doing, because, we're all small business owners. Like think about what you're doing from a financial literacy perspective, from a
Uh-huh.
small business perspective, what you and Ann are doing with your children. It's like literally like showing them real time about, because like my wife and I are both, our house is just ran by small business. So it's like,
Yeah,
we're not
yeah,
going to the job. Like, we're literally like, all right, cool. Like, what are you going to do? We got to figure it out. Like, and that's just been it. So Eva, my daughter, is just her whole life, that's what she's seen.
that's
And
dope.
like, also through true transparency, she's seen all the good and the bad that comes with that as well. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah,
us figuring out, but like we always just made a commitment to just always like be there for her. So, any type of game, any type of situations happen in school, it's like we're there. And like I'm not pushing her to be an artist. Like whatever she decides to do, I just want her to be happy. And that's really like it. Like that's all I want is just like her to have a fair shot in life. And I tell her from the beginning that like, yo, I don't want to hear things like that's not fair because life's just not fair. And like
right, right.
you're black, you're a woman, like these things, like there's things that are like already set up against you that you don't even know
Yeah,
about. But your mother and I can like really help to guide you through this. So it's like you're going through life, you can have like, you're more prepared for these things as they come up. And to your point about like, I always talk about like in terms of like from an investment perspective, like children are the wildest, most risky investments you'll ever make in your life. You might get a return on that. You might get a return on your investment in year like 20, 25. This ain't like buying a home. It's like, like I just
man.
pay towards and like over time, it's like, like I put in and I get out. Like, no, like you could be the best parent, kid could be a whole fuck up. You can be a bad
Bruh.
parent, kid comes out all right. So it's like, you really
Yeah.
don't know, but it's just important to be there.
Seen it all, man. Seen it all. I think
Yeah.
that's the key. It's just important that you're there, man.
So
Well, man, I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping this
let's
up,
do
but
it.
we got one more segment to go, and we'll just jump right into it. It's called Hot Take. You got to pick one or the other, and we'll go from there. You ready for Hot Take?
So,
All right. So, ice cream or potatoes? You can only have one the rest of your life. The other one you got to cut out.
man, I gotta have potatoes, and like I don't like potatoes like that, but ice cream, I feel like I get like you can make a potato stretch. You can figure out so
Yeah.
many other things, but like ice cream, that shit's gonna get boring. It's just gonna get boring. And you going, I mean, they both like yield a lot of sugar, but like ice cream is like, yo, man, like and I feel like I'm just being like, I haven't eaten meat for like 10 years now. So it's like, I feel like that dairy would just like wreck me, man. Like, I can't do it. I cannot do it.
Oh man. All right. Painting outside or inside?
You know what? Outside. I
Outside
love
be
to
like
paint
outside
outside
better. Yeah, that's
forever.
interesting.
Yeah. There's
All right.
more, there's heat.
All right. So let's say you can, and I think I know the answer to this one. You have to get rid of one for the rest of your life. Painting or listening to music. That's a hard one.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I'm an artist through and through, so I'm gonna have to get rid of music. Is it like right now? So I got all the catalogs of everything in my head already stored, or it's like I know nothing of music
No,
entirely.
no, you still have the catalogs in your head.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just,
yeah, you still.
yeah, I'm just gonna, everything's gonna be on repeat in the head then. Yeah.
All right. So you're on an island. What's the 3 albums you're bringing with you? You can't get off the island no more. And these are the only 3
Yeah.
you can listen to. Or actually, just one. Let's just do one. We'll keep it one. Or if you want to do 3, you can do 3, or you can just
Yeah,
do
I can
one.
do 3. I'm gonna do Bulletproof Soul, Sade. I'm gonna do Baduism, just to really kind of keep me on my hip hop shit that I feel like I could just live off forever. I'm gonna bring Damn.
Damn is my one from Kendrick.
Yeah.
Like that's my favorite album from him.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Yeah,
that's got all the aspects of it. It's got rock, it's got R&B, it's got some heady shit, it's got some bars. Like, yeah, yeah. So I'm covered with some R&B and some.
you know what mine always is, and it still hasn't changed to this day. Voodoo is gonna have to be one of them. D'Angelo's Voodoo is gonna
D'Angelo,
have
of
to be
course,
one
yeah.
of
Well,
them. Yeah,
I know D'Angelo. Yeah, of course I know D'Angelo Voodoo.
it's gonna
Yeah, of
have to be one
course.
of them. Like I love that
Yo,
record so much, man. I don't know.
yo, my wife's birthday was last week. We went out to eat at Limoncello, really great place. On the way up there, literally listened to a D'Angelo set, and 4 of the songs came from Voodoo. Like, man, yo, and his son is doing this thing too. Shit, damn, yo, man, D'Angelo is a. Yo, you talking about this like a unicorn in human form? Especially that I love that episode that like they did, and we'll get right back to it from Atlanta. That episode about
Yeah,
D'Angelo's.
give me that D'Angelo vibes. Or the record that rivals Voodoo to me is Leon Thomas's Mutt record.
Yeah,
That record is a movie. You know what I mean? Like that record is crazy, man. All right, so I got your records. All right, last one. Cosby Show or A Different World?
oh man. So 84, so Cosby Show. Little bit like, yeah, I'm gonna go. Yo, we can say what we gotta say about it. Like we know we
Yeah,
was on a different time. You know what I
yeah.
mean? With that crazy ass
That
shit.
he need to go under the jail, bro,
This is
for what he was
why
doing.
power is like a real dude, even parallel with like Puff, like, yo, power unchecked is like, again, which is why I'm like, yo, in my lifetime, there's a number that I'm like, okay, so long that I can be able to pay my bills and be able to have something to put away. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. Like literally, like I just need to be able to sleep comfortably. You know, I ain't gotta have, I'm not even a car person like that. Like if I'm able to have something nice, that's cool. But like I believe that as you just get more power, like even I've watched homies that have like went from 2,000 followers to 20,000 followers start to act a little different as like they talk about weaponizing their community. And I'm like, yo, you gotta watch that because like that shit unchecked, you can start doing, and that's why like the whole idea of celebrityism is like why I always just like stay away from that because I'm like, these people live in a completely different world and sometimes they don't even know what they're doing is like actually bad because no one has told them that this shit is wild that you're doing.
I feel like in today's age, like celebrityism or even like people that I used to look up to or whatever, I feel like I don't really trip on celebrities like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I
You
respect
shouldn't.
what they do. I respect what athletes do. I respect all of that. But like if I see you, I
Sorry.
feel like I'm doper than them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like like and I was talking about this, I talk about this a lot. Like when I see someone like say if I even saw LeBron, for example, LeBron is amazing. But there's a lot of shit LeBron can do that I can do that he can't do. I can cut hair.
100%.
He can't cut hair.
Yeah.
I can make
Yeah.
videos and tell stories. He can't do that. I can go
Yes.
create value for something that like that he can't do. You know what I mean? I got a lot of shit that I can do that he cannot do, and there's a lot of shit that he can do that I can't do. Obviously,
Yep. Yep.
but like there's and so to me it's like, well, I'm the dopest. I'm the dopest nigga in the room.
Yep.
What are we
That's
talking
it.
about?
That's it.
Like
That's it.
I'll be in the room with
And
all the,
people
you do something. You play a game. I create value for human beings and influence and inspire people in a real
multi-talented.
way.
Exactly. And I think and I think that like I 100% subscribe to that whole belief because my entire life I've been like, yo, like people that get caught up in celebrities and they become fanatics about things. I'm like, all the energy you're using channeling against that one person, one, you don't know them. You don't know what that person's for, what type of person they really truly are. And
For real.
also spend that energy building you. You know what I mean? Because it's like I love that you said that. Like, yo, like, you can do X, Y, Z, A, B, C better than everyone in this capacity, but it's also in the paradox of life, a very limited capacity. Like, how are
Facts.
you as a human? Like, you know what I mean? And like, dude, there's nothing better than just being able to have peace of mind, man. So it's like anytime that it's like, yo, I would hate to be able to live a life. And I know that they're just victims of their own success. But when it comes to like anything that leaves the mouth of LeBron, anything that leaves the mouth of Drake, it's like, yo, like these people can't even walk around. I remember, I'll never forget like this old Rap Radar interview that Jay-Z was talking about, because I really love how the
That was a good
Carters
one.
go about maintaining a level of privacy. But he was
Uh-huh.
like, yo, when we're in New York, like, man, there might be a certain time of day that like, yo, we can walk around the street and there's just nobody around. And like, we really
Uh-huh.
appreciate that. That's a human being that's still, and I don't know again about the inner works of their lives, but just to be able to say that, like, yo, I just want to be able to be outside and not have to get mobbed. Or like
That's
literally
man.
anything that I do is like under scrutiny. I don't want that, man. I want to live a regular ass life. Like, I want to,
Facts.
you know what I mean? Like I want to be able to get things in life and I want to be able to leave the place a little bit better than whenever I was here. I felt like at this point in my life, I've been able to do that. But
Yep.
like, I also just want to be able to just have peace of mind, bro. I want to be able to go to sleep, wake up with the woman I love, wake up, know I can take care of my family. Everything else doesn't really fucking matter.
Man, that's a great way to end this podcast. You just barred it up, man. How do people get in touch with you and figure out and find out more and see your work and do all of those things, man?
Yeah. So I appreciate you, good brother, for having me on. You can find me right there, Barry Johnson, across all socials, barryjohnson.co is the website. Tap in with me. Got a lot that's in the works, but man, I cannot be more effusive. I appreciate it. I am to you for bringing me on today.
Man, you part of our story, man. You're like like it's only right that you're the only one to return on the Black History Month reflection series because you got your paint. Like I tell people, your art is part of our story. Like
Yeah,
my whole
I
company's
appreciate that.
story is you're like integral to that. So
Thank you for
we
giving it a home.
appreciate you. Yeah, we
Yeah, thank you
appreciate
for
you,
giving it a
man, and
home.
everything you do for the community and the art community, and yeah, and for taking time to be on the podcast, man. We appreciate you.
So,
And that's this episode of the Black History Month Reflection Series. We have more coming. Pause, but don't worry, it's all gonna be good. It's all gonna be good.
Again.
Tap in for the next one. Y'all be good. All right, peace.
Yeah. That.